I am not a massive fan of roguelikes, aside from Balatro, but that's because I have an unhinged card addiction. But I must say that Slay the Spire absolutely joins Balatro in being an exception to the rule for me. Boot up a run of Slay the Spire, and the first thing that stands out is how clearly the game lays its cards on the table. Every enemy broadcasts its next action before you commit to yours. Damage values, buffs, debuffs, status effects are all displayed in plain view, turning combat into a readable equation rather than a guessing game. If you are about to take 18 damage, you can see the number, see whether it's a single strike or a multi-hit attack, and see whether vulnerable will amplify it. When a run goes wrong, the cause is never hidden. You can trace the loss back to a specific choice, whether you prioritise damage over blocking, whether you overloaded the deck with expensive cards, or underestimated how quickly status effects would really stack on you. That transparency changes the mental flow of each turn. Instead of reacting to surprises, you're planning around known outcomes. You're weighing whether to block now or accept damage to preserve a stronger turn later. You're calculating lethal setups 2 turns ahead because the incoming attack pattern is visible. It feels much closer to solving a tactical puzzle than surviving a chaotic dungeon crawl like most roguelikes. Now, full deck building into that, open information combat, and each reward screen becomes a meaningful fork in the road. After a fight, you're offered one of 3 cards, and the choice immediately reshapes the probabilities of your future turns. If you add, say, Shrug It Off, for example, you will improve your block density and draw consistency. Taking Carnage allows you to deal a lot of damage, but can only be used once per battle. Skipping the reward keeps the deck lean, increasing the odds of drawing key cards when they matter most. These decisions ripple forward into upcoming fights in ways that are really easy to see and really easy to understand. By the time you reach the middle of a run, the deck functions like a record of your priorities thus far. A silent deck built around poison, stacking and duplication effects signals a long game strategy that thrives against high health enemies. A defect deck focused on frost orbs and focus reveals a plan to convert incoming damage into sustainable defense. Because enemy actions remain visible, you're constantly stress testing those plans against real threats that you can see coming. You know when your block will hold, you know when your scaling damage will come into things, and when the draw order betrays you, the tension is palpable because you know exactly why you're failing. This interplay between visible enemy intent and evolving deck composition creates a rhythm that's easy to follow and really satisfying to analyse. Every card pick has a traceable impact. Every combat decision leaves a footprint. The run unfolds like a tactical narrative written in real time, where we can anticipate risks, debate alternatives, and feel the stakes of each turn without needing hidden information or a sort of RNG dependent nature. You know exactly what the enemy is going to do before you even make your turn. Climbing the spire itself often feels like wandering through a glittering bazaar, where every stall owner swears their trinket will change your life. But they're all telling the truth. Slay the Spire thrives on decisions that trade comfort now for power later. The map itself sets the tone. A path packed with elites promises more relics, but it also threatens to turn a healthy run into a cautionary tale, as your health will undoubtedly decrease. Campfires offer a very similar dilemma. Do you patch up your missing health, or do you upgrade a keycard and trust that you can survive the next gauntlet with fewer health points? Even events tempt you with bargains that feel slightly cursed, like accepting a nasty status card in exchange for a relic that could supercharge your entire strategy. Relics are where these gambles bloom into full-blown personality shifts. They fundamentally change how the game is played. What makes this dance so enjoyable is how quickly a single relic can nudge a run onto a completely new trajectory. You might begin with a cautious block-focused plan, which I feel like you probably should do early on, only to pick up a relic that will suddenly reward aggressive play, and find yourself leaning into taking much higher risks that end fights before defense even really factors into things. The tension will live in that pivot. We can sense the moment where safety is left behind and the run commits to a bold new direction. These choices that you make every single time you reach a new level of the spire will develop into a very distinct flavour. One climb might feel like a careful expedition where you're rationing your health, you always are just getting through every fight by the skin of your teeth and avoiding unnecessary fights when you can, opting to go to campfires and such instead. The next might resemble a reckless treasure hunt where you're smashing through elites to chase the right relic combination that could border on just being completely absurd. The beauty lies in how the game keeps offering you the chance to push your luck just a little bit further, to accept one more curse, to fight one more elite, to trust that the strange new relic in your pocket will carry you through whatever waits on the next floor. Before we continue on to this video though, if you are enjoying then may I interest you in a cheeky subscribe, as I upload videos at least once a week. Thank you ever so much. But a full climb in Slay the Spire fits neatly into the kind of time slot that most people would actually have. One run can unfold over a lunch break or just an evening wind down before you do something else, reaching a very clear conclusion without dragging past its natural endpoint. This pacing invites a lot of experimentation. Taking an unusual card, chasing an extra elite, or testing a strange relic combination feels exciting rather than reckless, because you know that it won't be that long before you can start another run anyway, and when a run does collapse, that setback stings for a moment and then transforms into a fresh excuse to reshuffle the deck and try again. And this is where the replayability comes into things. I ended up completing my first run much faster than I had anticipated, but I absolutely was not done. There are 4 characters in Slay the Spire that play entirely differently, to the point where it feels like a different game. The Ironclad, for example, gains some health after each successful fight, meaning if you're efficient enough, you won't have to heal at the campfires and can instead focus on upgrading your deck. My favourite character though was undoubtedly Silent. Silent focuses more on poison attacks, where you can cast poison on an enemy and they will take that amount of damage every turn, although the number will slowly decrease. The fun part here though is that poison actually stacks, so you can stack an obscene amount of poison on an enemy and then just decimate them with ease. There's also Defect and Watcher, but if I'm being honest, I didn't really enjoy using these ones all too much. The map layout amplifies this tension by presenting meaningful choices from the very first floor. Branching paths reveal the location of elites, campfires, shops and events well in advance, turning navigation into a strategic layer rather than a march down a fixed corridor. A Defect run powered by Frost Orbs and Focus might pursue elite heavy routes to secure relics that reinforce its defensive engine. A fragile Silent deck running low on health may weave towards campfires and question marks, hoping to stabilise before the next major fight. Because the layout is visible in advance, each route feels like a commitment shaped by your current strengths and vulnerabilities. Losing a run in Slay the Spire rarely feels like the end of the road. It feels like a post-match breakdown where the evidence is still on the table. If you are paying attention, you will always know what led to your run failing. Too many high-cost cards clogged up your early turns, not enough block to survive multi-hit attacks, a relic pick nudged the strategy in a direction that your deck didn't really support. That clarity transforms failure into fuel. Instead of chasing a single, perfect build, you start recognising the patterns. Strength scaling shines against certain bosses but struggles without the right card draw. Poison thrives in longer fights but demands patience and protection. Frost-heavy Defect decks can outlast almost anything, provided that focus shows up in time. Each defeat adds another layer of understanding, sharpening your instincts for future runs. Over time you will stop reacting turn by turn and start planning acts ahead, shaping the deck for threats that you know are coming. When you do finish a run, successfully or otherwise, you will level up the character you were using. This then unlocks more cards, etc. that can be used in future runs, meaning even when you fail, you're unlocking new content that can potentially make the game easier. The only main downside to this, in my opinion, is that it dilutes the card pool, making it much more difficult to get specific cards you may want on a run. This learning loop does feed into something larger, a reshaping of what a roguelike can be. By blending card game strategy with run-based progression, the climb becomes a conversation between planning and adaptation. The randomness never disappears, but it's framed in a way that rewards your foresight and your flexible thinking. You're not memorising patterns so much as developing a toolkit for handling whatever the Spire throws at you. The result is a style of play that feels both methodical and dynamic, where each run becomes a fresh puzzle built from familiar pieces, and that is where the magic settled in for me. The Spire doesn't promise victory, it offers a ladder of lessons, one misplay at a time. You climb, you fall, you climb again, each attempt a little bit better at the game than you were before, until the summit finally feels less like luck, and more like something you earned step by step. I do not think that Slay the Spire revolutionised the roguelike genre, but it did do something really fun for me. It simplified it, and yet also introduced sort of this deck building, visible enemy move outlook that just really worked for me, and I am incredibly excited for the upcoming Slay the Spire 2. If you made it this far into the video, then all I have to say is thank you very much. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please leave a like on the video and let me know in the comments, because that will make me very happy. And if you want to see more videos from me, then please consider subscribing, as I upload at least one video a week. But for now, that is all. Have a nice day, and goodbye.